This is Calabugas for Think Future Extra. Now, I keep talking about education, how education needs to be disrupted, and here's how I think education should be disrupted. I think that we're all underestimating the power of the human mind. We all think that human beings don't have the ability to learn because we figure unless they already know this stuff, then we don't want to teach them. We want to make sure that they come on board, that they know all this stuff already, and we don't have to teach them a damn thing. And everybody knows that that is BS. The reality is that human beings need to be taught. And human beings all have the capacity to learn. And it doesn't matter what it is, they all have the capacity to learn. So here's my example of how education will work. Now, one of the things I do all the time in my ideation sessions is go back, work through the maze backwards. Now, when I was a kid, I used to have these maze puzzles that I would work through, right? In the car, and you'd have to figure out how to get from point A to point B, or from the start of the maze to the end of the maze. And sometimes it was difficult because you'd go down through the back alleys and back angles and stuff like that, and you couldn't get through. But if you cheated and you started at the end and went all the way to the beginning, bam, you would be able to solve that in a second. And this is the way I think it should work in the same way. So if we think about the absolute best scenario when it comes to education, I think about the Matrix movie. And if you remember the first Matrix movie that was done in 1999, there was a scene where Trinity, one of the characters, needs to know how to pilot a helicopter, right? But her avatar doesn't know how to pilot a helicopter. So Tank, she says to Tank, hey, I need to know how to pilot a helicopter. He goes, coming right up. So he takes a data set, shoves it into the machine, presses a button, and boom, suddenly, within a few seconds, Trinity knows how to pilot a helicopter. Just like that. Now, that's the end state. That would be the great end state. And of course, in the film, they're all avatars, so it's really easy. They're all programs, so it's really easy for them to feed that kind of information into their avatar. But let's say we can't get there just yet. So let's go through the maze backwards a little bit. Let's go backwards and look at what could be the precursor to something like that. So if we went backwards, look at the great granddaddy of something like that. How could we possibly do something like that with the technology of today? Well, it's fairly simple. Complete just-in-time education. So when somebody needs to perform a task, we train them on how to perform that task before they go and perform the task. And then they go off and perform the task. Why can't we do more of that? Is there a particular reason why we can't do that? I think the reason why we can't do that is because we feel we have this weird preconception that human beings can't learn how to do everything. If you ask me, most human beings do have the ability to learn everything. And maybe there's some specialized skills that some human beings may not be able to learn, and some human beings are more talented than others and can pick up those skills faster. But if you ask me, almost all human beings have the capability of being able to learn what they need to learn to get to the next level. And it's not just these people who are saying, you know, I've lost my job, I can't learn. You can learn. Every human being has the capability of learning. I think it's just something in their brains that's stopping them from wanting to. So here's my suggestion for the future of education, is that we break up the whole system. We don't need degrees. We don't need courses. We don't need anything. We need to train people just in time for the specific task that needs to be done. Now, that might solve the problem for a bunch of people. It won't solve the problem for everybody, but there could be a whole cadre of individuals who, instead of sitting around on UBI all the time, can actually get some real work done. And if you couple that education with the task economy from my previous video, then you can see how these can work together. If a task needs to be completed and a human needs to be trained to complete the task, then why doesn't the system just train the human to complete the task before they go complete the task? Seems very simple to me. But we can't do any of these things because we're stuck. We're mired in the past. We all need to open up our minds. We all need to look into the future And we need to realize there are better ways of doing these things. And in fact, some of the things that have happened over the last little while, the pandemic, the crises that have occurred, have pushed us down this path, and then we can see a better future. We can use this disruption to reform education, make it better than it has ever been.